Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like Andres said, I'm a little under the weather. I don't know what it is, but I've gotten hit twice with this huge like seasonal allergy bug, neck and throat like pain. This is some weird business. But I will be talking significantly less here, not just because Free for All Deathmatch has not been as kind to me as it has been to Andres, but we'll dive into this nonetheless. First of all, I'd like to thank all of those who came out for game night. We typically normally have a really high count of about 40 to 50 people on the PC side. But after going back through the backlog, I was actually able to go back through and check and see on our console side how it was going. And our PlayStation side just exploded. These guys were having a blast. I even saw that there was a cool event that they were running for Dames of Destiny. They, with Safe Gamers Alliance, they moved in and had a really cool Overwatch tournament thing. They kind of ran parallel to this on the console side, especially, and they had a lot of fun there. I know that we actually had some substitute people taking over for both the PlayStation area and the Xbox side, just to kind of make sure things were running and things were going while our admins and mods were kind of away. Um, Pretty much across the board, there wasn't too many of us there outside of Andres and myself and Icy kind of holding down the fort this week. But it ended up being really, really fun. A lot of people were kind of away due to the long weekend. But what it ended up translating to was actually not that much of a drop in numbers, just kind of a drop of overall time that individuals were there, kind of popping in for a couple games, popping out, coming back. So it ended up being quite an endeavor to jump around with all of the different game night lobbies. But Andres, how was your experience this time around? I know we try to talk about it each time it comes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. I love it when you get the new people that come in and new people as in non-regulars or people that just kind of show up periodically and they're not really like as active in the chats. So they kind of pick up their team and you got the newbies going in there and you go in and the game's super one-sided. It's over in like 5 minutes and then they're like, man, I felt like it got annihilated. I don't know if I want to do this again. And then, like, I can't remember who it was. Somebody popped in. It was like, you mean choosing people in a random group that you've never met before and expecting a balanced game? I just thought that was just really, really funny comment. And yeah, like to kind of chime in on that, like a lot of people kind of get turned off sometimes on their first experience because of that. And I think half of the fun of game night is getting your face rolled in or just kind of like doing a steamroll. And you're like, well, these teams are not balanced. I'm not going to make that mistake again.
Well, I think usually the some of the mods that people organizing the games are usually quick to let people know, like, hey, you
Yeah.
don't want to pick those two together because you're gonna have a bad time. I know that
Yeah.
they're usually pointing out like who shouldn't be on the
Mm,
same team and stuff. Although
yeah.
sometimes, yeah, you can't really tell with Overwatch. Sometimes a team clicks together really well, even if they don't have the best
It's
players.
true.
I've seen it happen in game night where like a team that is not made of the best just steamrolls a team that has great players just because they had good
Yeah.
synergy, man.
Yeah. Shout out to my buddy that came kind of, or I guess he's a friend of a friend, I think, that came in. He's a Masters Reinhardt player named Gnomes.
Oh
He
yeah.
just spams the beer emote every time. Yeah, he's just really, really fun guy. So thanks for coming out. He was complimenting me on some of my Ana plays, and it was really encouraging since I had had like a really rough time in comp mode. And also shout out to Big Brother who was able to kind of mentor me a little bit on some tank play as I was trying to learn Zarya. He's a higher level player and duoed with me as I played roles that I wasn't comfortable on to kind of mentor me a little bit. And I know that that's been something interesting that I've been seeing is a lot of top level players or masters and diamond players kind of queuing with silvers and golds just and plats, just kind of like maybe it's like this weird dichotomy where they get kind of a bad rap for like boosting is kind of the quote unquote thing that people are like frown upon, but it's kind of like, it's almost in some ways they're kind of just they're gonna flex on to literally anything they can play, and then they kind of mentor the other person and like, well, you should probably do this or you want to change some things here. And I thought that was kind of an interesting dichotomy that a lot of folks aren't really doing. They're just kind of like all focused about gaining the rank, but I thought
Well,
that was
I think
really, really fun.
that's a really good dynamic, honestly. It's a good way to learn the
Mm-hmm.
game because at least just to give like a parallel example, I remember when I was a little kid and I was playing soccer and I would play soccer with my friends, be out in the
Mm-hmm.
field, learning new stuff,
Yeah.
trying to get better at the game. And then every once in a while, you would have like this neighbor or like friend of a friend or like the cousin of your friend that comes over to visit and they just happen to be maybe a little bit older and they're like really great at soccer and then they come out to play with you that day and obviously they're way over your league and everyone else
Right.
in there, but it's still cool, you know what I mean? You still want them there
Mm.
because they show you how to play the game in a way that you've never even thought before, and they kind of like show you
Yeah.
like, oh, this is possible. They might even give you tips like, hey man, you're doing this good, but maybe you should try it like this. Or just seeing how that particular person plays against people on your level can be eye opening sometimes. Or like, oh, you just have to do that and you can beat him that way. Like, you can learn by just watching them.
Mm.
So I personally think that
Mm-hmm.
it's cool playing with players that are a little bit above your league. And I know that yeah, sometimes in Overwatch it's a little weird, but especially in custom games, this is the best place to do it, right? You're not intruding into
Right.
anyone's competitive game or anything. You're just kind of like there with other people that are down
Mm-hmm.
to play.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think it's a great time to do that kind of thing.
Right. And it's also interesting too because you get a lot of those interesting duo dynamics that you don't normally have, like with your good friends. For example, when you're playing in like a mid-tier level of play, you don't really have the experience of like playing around or playing with somebody that's really good on specific roles that are not as popularized in your rank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say for example, just having an excellent tracer or like a really good widowmaker, or not necessarily commonalities within between bronze and platinum. Those things just don't normally exist, and when they do exist, they are a force to be reckoned with, and people get really punished. So it was really interesting to kind of like play around those type of things, or like a different style of tank, or just
Right.
interesting stuff. But we won't belabor the point anymore. So let's get into a couple of people that we like to thank outside of the game night participants. We do these every Friday at the end of a month. So the last Friday of the month is consistently when we try to do it. That way we have other podcasts, other communities, other people can kind of plan on sake of our show when we're going to have it. And even if Andres and I are going to be there, you can guarantee that somebody's going to be running it on the PC side at least. And we also let our mods on PlayStation and Xbox let them know they can be running it as well. So special thanks to Ben, aka I Need Peeling, for offering business consulting in the esports field. If you're looking for being a coach or you want to start a team, if you want to develop an app for service, you just want to boost a simple subscriber base in the esports field, you can you can get some help by visiting his website at Top Score Esports on Twitter, or his website at Top Score Esports. Or sorry, I am reading this backwards today because of sickness. TopScoreSolutions.com, TopScore Esports on Twitter. He's got a Discord services that's been popping pretty well. Actually had a nice guy in his Discord this week helping me with some international tax and working out some things for Omnic Lab actually on my taxes because
Awesome.
I am a couple weeks behind.
It's
So
a
it's been
great little
really, really
community
great.
he has there.
Mm-hmm. And we have Omnic Meta, our official partner of the show. He was on vacation this last week, so that's maybe why you didn't see any new Omnic Meta posts, but he still has the Hanzo article to read up on. In case you're behind, you can also check out the the Meta Spotlight for May 17th on the PC, and see what's tearing it up in the ladder. You can probably expect him to get you a new one within the next 2 weeks. And Owl Recap is still a part of the Omnic Lab Discord. If you want to submit questions for Overwatch League related content, I just posted an article today featuring the um, stuff that they're looking to do in season 2, with adding 6 new teams and Berlin being a very significant target for that. And you can probably look for the Owl Recappers and Andres to talk about it this coming week. Moving forward, Andres, do you want to cover our new sponsors and Diamond patrons?
Absolutely. We really want to thank you guys. You guys make the dream possible. We're going to BlizzCon again this year, thanks to you guys. But special thanks to all of our Diamond Patreons: Ben K, Britmas, Chris the Playa, Durandal, Golden Soldier A, Great Root Bear, Jan Jinkle, Jeffy, Jeff D, Lysum, Never Clutch, Ray, Roger B, Ricky Dicky, Shazir, Scanning Clad, Top Score Solutions, and Tragic Sack. Also joining the team today, we got Super Pants, Meta Lander. I butchered that one. Metalander.
Yeah, something like that.
And Terry F, of course, joining the Diamond crew. Thank you so much, guys, for the continued support. You guys really make things stick for us, make things a lot easier, and just help us evolve and keep growing as a podcast.
For sure. So let's get into the main topic now that we've thanked you guys enough. Okay, let's get into it. We got free-for-all deathmatch. So this is going to be a style that's going to be significantly different than working in team play with the previous deathmatch that was lockout, 6v6 or 3v3. This is where it's just you. You're up into the score. Now, something interesting about free-for-all deathmatch is you only need to place within the top 4 to gain rank, but the higher you place in those top 4 ranks, the more you gain. And contrarily, in the polar opposite fashion, you lose less rank as the higher you place in the losing bottom 4 of the top 8 of deathmatch. So there's going to be 7 other folks besides you, and depending on where you rank will determine how much you lose, or if you win, how much you gain. And in addition to that, you can swap heroes at your leisure between deaths at any point in the deathmatch, but it will reset just like normal games. And there are different play styles that people have been doing, and you can only play on 2 maps. Rialto, sorry, I misspoke. That is not Rialto. Rialto is the new map in the competitive cycle. It is Chateau Guillard and
Petra.
Andres, help me out. Petra.
The new map. The new Egyptian map, or I have no idea where Petra is. Honestly,
I have no clue. I thought it was. I'll Google it while you talk about strategy here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, free for all, man. I've been enjoying the mode since they came out. Not competitive a long time ago. I've been using it as my warm up mode, or just a mode to practice your mechanics, because you get to spam whatever hero you choose pretty fast. Some people get turned off by the mode because it can be a little bit chaotic. You can be having a little 1v1 duel, and then 2 people come to your back, murder the both of you that were fighting, and they kill each other and move on, and you don't have much control over this. So some people find that frustrating. Also, it definitely does incentivize certain heroes over others, and certain heroes do perform better than other heroes can. But that's not to say that your skill can't make some of the more hard heroes to make work in this mode. So I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I've been having fairly good success with it. I'm on my climb through Diamond right now. Hopefully, I can finish Masters. We'll see how far I can push it after that on the season. But I don't know. I've just been enjoying the mode. I've been learning a lot, and it's been great practice for my McCree, actually. I know any of you play the mode can attest. McCree is pretty good in it. But what's been your experience with the mode so far, Rob?
As somebody that's not particularly talented with a lot of different heroes, and some of the heroes that that I like to play in it and do well in are typically just for goofing off and arcade. I've not really seen too many people taking it seriously. Now that people are, you see a lot more cheese. You see a lot more like, people that are taking it mega seriously, and like salty and all chat. So I've been enjoying that. Seeing people get salty at McCree using their right click ability. For some reason that's tilting. So usually when I see somebody complain about McCree right click, I instantly switch to McCree. and right click them every time I see them because I know it's getting in their head, and
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
part of the hero, folks. You get flashbang, you get right clicked, you're dead. So it's the same as if I left click you.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't do very good in my placements. I got placed or placed at like 2070, so like very low gold. But I went 2 and 8 in placements, and every one of the times that I lost, I was fifth place by
Oh,
like
so
one
close,
kill.
dude. So
It was just
close.
so sad. I was like, well, whatever. I'm not really too serious in this. And then the next game, very clearly, I get into the next game. I pick Hanzo. I don't even switch off of him the whole game, and I got first place, and I gained like 100 points or something ridiculous.
Nice.
So it is very, very polarizing when you do start winning and losing, depending on like how high you are, or how like in the losing chart, like you don't lose very much versus like if you win and get first, just crazy amounts of rank.
So I
But
have this
yeah.
theory that Blizzard purposely made everyone plays fairly low. I don't think that anyone actually plays Masters, or if they did, they must have had like a
That's the general
beast of
consensus
a
I've been getting from
performance.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, because on my climb through, I got placed diamond, and on my second
Hmm.
game after being placed, I got placed against Karib from LA Valiant, like the
Whoa.
yeah, the pro, and I was like, okay, this seems interesting because his rank in competitive deathmatch was diamond, or he was close to
Right.
masters at this point. But then I check his
Okay.
personal profile, and of course, he's like 4,600, like top 500 player. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah, in
like,
competitive rank.
yeah, it was really funny. He started the match, I think, with Doomfist. I think he was just like fooling
Oh,
around, and he
jeez.
and he was at the bottom of the ladder. Everyone else who we were playing with was fairly decent, and obviously, I'm playing McCree to my best of my ability. I'm like, okay, I'm
I'm
not
gonna
gonna,
dumpster this
yeah,
guy.
I'm not gonna kid this fight. I'm gonna try to do my best.
Yeah.
And I get a couple kills on him, and I'm feeling really good. Eventually, I guess
Hmm.
he gets fed up, and he just goes McCree himself, and he wins the match in like 3 minutes. It was like
Oh my
it was so
goodness.
fast after he switched, and he got some insane kills on me after the switch.
That's
But
crazy.
it was very cool to play with him. He definitely put me in my place. I can definitely see why he's a pro. Um, but I definitely think that they're getting placed way lower just to
Uh-huh.
make people have to do the climb. You know what I mean? Like you have to earn
Yeah.
your masters, your grandmaster, or top 500 in this one.
Earn your stripes.
Yeah, you won't be able to just play 10 games and then call it a day, get out. It's almost like they want the people who want that top 500 to kind of work for it this time around. That's what it seems like to me. So
Yeah.
that's why if you place really low or lower than you normally think your skill rating is, this is probably why everyone got shifted down a little bit.
On top of that, like even if you don't play particularly well, relative to where you're placed, if you kind of just like wait a little while, where people are starting to like get that are playing it regularly or kind of like ranking up or ranking down, you kind of get it within your skill bracket pretty quickly. It's still like rolling the dice 50-50 a lot of the
Yeah.
times, like when you get placed, because like you can basically do nothing, and as long as one or two people are just popping off and you're going average, you can kind of steal a win by sticking at top three, top four, if
One
you're
of the
just playing
things
well.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is the mode in itself is not the most balanced. Like you won't get people
Hmm.
close to your bracket as often, just because one, I think there's less people playing it than the actual, comp
Right.
population. So wait times can sometimes be a little longer, which means that the matchmaker will spread the average median of people you'll place you with. Sometimes I find
Hmm.
myself playing against a lot of like low plats, for example, even though I'm already in diamond in a thing, like there'll be like a couple low platinum players rather than
Yeah.
have all diamond players, because just because I think there's not enough volume of people to do it at the time. It might normalize a little more as the mode goes on. Who knows if the mode will go on enough to like make it very solid. But I think that over time, if you keep playing the modes when they rotate in and rotate out, like your SR in those will normalize a little more. And honestly, it's just a little refresher. It's not a mode that you should take super, super seriously. But it is a good measure of your mechanical skill on certain heroes. Not all of them, since not some
Hmm.
of the heroes kind of thrive more in having a partner with them than just being solos.
Right.
but still, you can like learn a lot from movement, quick reactions, 1v1 duels. As a DPS player, it can be a really good learning experience, even though there's still some supports and even tanks that you can do pretty well. I've seen some Winstons, I've seen some Annas or Zenyatas actually do okay in this kind of mode. Let's talk about the heroes a little bit. What heroes have you seen thrive in it?
Oh, by the way, for those of you wondering, Petra is in Jordan. The country of Jordan is a World Heritage Site, but just
Oh.
northwest of Egypt, west of Israel, and yet east of Saudi Arabia.
Okay,
So
it did look.
to give you
I
an
did
idea.
think it was around that area, but I wasn't sure if it was like Egypt or somewhere else. Jordan makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So mid east, right by the Dead Sea, I think. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.
So hero picks. I want to play more with Lucio, especially if you're playing on Chateau, because Lucio can tear it up on that map. Like he can be dangerous, especially in like multi-attack areas where there's a few heroes. You can kind of just like swoop in with the speed boost and use your right click or your alternate fire shotgun and just kind of steal a couple kills and boot people out of the way. You can also get a lot of environmental kills if you kind of just roam. I know that Ana with the new nano boost is actually really scary, and the anti heal can help you get rid of those annoying Brigittas that are kind of trying to take you out, and take down Roadhogs. However, I think that Zenyatta is a very good pocket pick if you're like able to play relatively safe and kind of like you basically just kind of own a health pack zone. I would say bounce between two health packs is pretty good. Because you do have the regenerating health, and if you can kind of win one of your duels, you just go back to full and then reset. That being said, I think if you're running on the newer map in Petra, you can't really get away with a lot of the things that you'd want to be able to get away with, like on Lucio, but it's going to give you way more range on Ana, for example, if you're running support. And it's way worse for Moiras if you're running out in the open. You're going to want to stay tight in the tight quarters and do that. But Symmetra can get some pretty cheeky stuff going if you get about a second or two to set up. It's pretty cheeseball, pretty annoying, but you're not really going to be winning unless you can kind of know the hero's kit as well and you can kind of set up well. Besides that, I've seen Brigittas do really well, but if you have like one or two people in your game that are just like just in it for fun or throwing or just doing something because they hate you or they hate like some other hero and they're playing a hate hero like Mei, there are certain matchups that are really, really tough for you. And in multi kill environments or specific heroes or playing in Petra in certain positions, Brigitte's really at a disadvantage. But that's just covering the support category, I think. Tanks, I haven't really seen much besides Roadhog, to be honest. But I have seen some people picking D.Va just because they're getting frustrated
Yeah.
against Faras. But that's about it for the tank category. Andres, what do you think about those two before we jump into the DPS?
Yeah. Those are all valid choices. I think that I will give you. Well, first of all, I'll give you what I'm looking for in a deathmatch hero. I want a
All right.
hero that can finish duels fast and consistently. Mainly because in this mode, there's too much risk going on, and you never know who's gonna come behind you. So if you have to spend a lot of time killing your target, the chances of somebody else walking into your fight increase exponentially. Not only that, if you're not a hero that can kill other things fast, then you can't take advantage of one of the main ways to get ahead in deathmatch, which is kill stealing. And I know this sounds really
Right.
bad, but like you have to be like that opportunist, you have to have that opportunistic mindset in this game mode,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't, then the people who do will just get ahead of you very, very fast. I
Yeah.
think that is why heroes like McCree, for example, are really great in this game mode. McCree is like the 1v1 all-star. You can almost 1v1 any hero in this game with McCree as long as you play it right, because of his burst damage, his ability to reload really fast, and the flashbang stun means that anyone who you're dueling close by As long as you know what you're doing, you can outplay them. And it's not like you're gonna win
Mm-hmm.
every 1v1 duel, but it just gives you good chances against everyone. And not only that, you have huge burst damage, which means that if you do it right with 1 or 2 shots, you can finish the fight right then and there. It doesn't take very long. If you walk into another people's fight, you can just kind of gauge who's kind of lower on health, shoot at that one, and just steal the kill right there, very fast, very precisely. You don't have to rely on any projectiles missing or getting to the target. You just do the shot right there, boom, get the kill really fast. Other heroes that are kind of like McCree and are really good. You mentioned already Roadhog. I think Roadhog is really good as well because, again, you can win the 1v1 very fast with your hook. If you land it and you do the shot, boom, that's it. You got the kill.
Yep.
And not to count that you have a huge HP pool and you can recover your health and mitigate damage. So, like, his whole kit is made, again, really good to win those 1v1 fights and do it fast. Even his regular fire can do a lot of damage up close. So sometimes you don't even need the hook. Sometimes you get a lucky shot and just boom, one shot the person you're trying to do. Um, Other heroes that can do this, surprisingly, Doomfist. Doomfist is really good. He is a little harder to play. I'm not very good at Doomfist, to be honest, but once you get to be used to his movement speed and his combos and the way you can burst people with it, again, you can finish your fights really fast. You punch him one time to the wall, and that's basically it for most heroes in this game mode. Or even if you can land from really high above and then uppercut, that can usually finish off most heroes too. So again, winning fights fast. You have a lot of mobility, so you can get around the map really quick and find those opportunistic moments. Hanzo, of course, can do this as well. One shot to the head and you're donezo. You have a lot of range. You have a lot of mobility now with a wall climb and your little jump back and
Lunge.
forth. Yeah, yeah. So I've seen a lot of those heroes. I think on a tier 2, I will say Tracer, Genji, Reaper can do really good as well. Um, and I say tier
Good
2.
pharaohs have been really crazy on Petra as well. If you're not seeing a lot of Widowmakers, they can kind of just be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, Farah can work too, but the only reason I put them at tier 2 is because of McCree, man. Like
Right.
McCree can just really prey on some of these heroes, and if you're running into a competitive free for all that has a lot of McCrees in it, you might have a really bad time as Tracer. Like, I can't stress how happy I get when I get a lot of Tracers on a free for all and I'm playing McCree, because it's like Christmas, man. Like, these little tiny flies flying around. You just flashbang headshot all of them. Sometimes they get a kill on
See,
you,
if I
but
see multiple tracers or and like just one or two McCrees, I don't mind running tracer in that situation because what you do is you do what you were talking about earlier, where you play tracer differently and you play it for the kill steals. You wait for the flashbang for him to go kill somebody else, and then you go kill the McCree because he's at his weakest because he doesn't have his ability to kill you anymore.
yeah, you can definitely play it that way. I would say you'd have to stay away from the creep, but that's like the main thing, that sometimes having to stay away from the McCree is like too much of a threat. And she can be a great hero. I've seen a lot of people win free for alls with Tracer, but I just think that McCree makes her like a little less good in this mode. And same like
Says the McCree main.
Hanzo's can one shot her too. But yeah, if you're a really great tracer, you will probably win a lot in this mode. Same with Genji. The mobility that Genji allows you to have, and
Right.
if you are good with the burst damage of Genji, you can finish those duels. And the dash resets allow you to get a lot of kill steals as well. Great hero in this mode. Winston, to a
Mm.
certain degree, can be okay. And we have some people in the chat mentioning Moira. I definitely think that Winston and Moira are okay. The only two things about these heroes is that they have great mobility. They have ways to mitigate damage. Moira can heal herself, which makes it very strong. But here's the thing, they're very slow at finishing their duels. They have no reliable burst damage. Like Sombra, I mean, Moira, sure, she has her damage orb, but then you have to choose, right? You're choosing to use your damage or your heal. So
And the
you,
ultimates are really vulnerable.
yeah, you're vulnerable with your ultimates. So I think that with Moira, you might be able to get away with a lot, but once people around you start getting a lot better,
Hmm.
I think you just won't be able to kill fast enough as other
You'll
heroes.
hit a ceiling with the usability, I think. I think
Yeah,
it can be fun though, because then like all of your kills, you just throw a damage orb when two people are dueling and you get a kill. It's like
yeah.
that's cheesy and it's fun, and you can win a lot of games. But when
You
people can start finishing the kills, like Andres is saying, it's
c-
really devastating.
you can definitely stay alive a lot with Moira, but again, this game is all about getting those kills as fast as you can. So you
Right.
want heroes that can be efficient at that. Winston can kind of lack in this sense. You know what hero can be surprisingly good in this mode? Bastion. Bastion
Really?
allows you to
I was gonna
self
say
heal.
Reaper.
Reaper is pretty good too, but Bastion allows you to self heal, and you have some burst damage with the turret form. And if you're using the turret form
Mm-hmm.
the right ways, not just kind of like waiting there in the open, but as you see fights, like jump out of a corner into turret form and just like burst him
Mow them
down
down.
really quick.
Yeah.
You become really tough when you're in the turret, so they can't really kill you very fast unless they have like a roadhog
Yeah,
or
you got
something
that
like that.
armored bonus.
Yeah, they usually can't headshot you very well since you're aiming at them and you're not staying in the turret mode for too long for them to like flank your weak spot or anything.
Right,
And you
right.
have your heal. Your ultimate can be very effective in this mode as well. So I think that he's
Mm-hmm.
not like top tier, but he's definitely like pretty decent in this mode.
I've been surprised at how well some of the Anas have been performing in this game. Like, good Anas are really scary because basically what they're going to do is they're going to try to duel you. And if they hear a second person coming, they're just not going to dart you. They're going to try to duel you without the dart. They're going to wait for the next person to come in the room. They're gonna dart that person. They're gonna kill you, and then they're gonna like shoot, grenade, shoot, and you've got 14 in the rounds now, and their damage is crazy, and they get a lot of damage mitigation when they nano themselves. So their ultimate's pretty useful.
The new nano boost on Anna is really strong. I'll give you that. The one thing I will say about Anna is that she kind of has the same problem as Moira. A character with an amazing tool set. You can win those 1v1 duels often if you're good with your sleep darts and your grenades.
Right.
Um, but again, sometimes it takes you like several shots to be able to kill a person. And if your abilities are down, sometimes it can be like up to 4 shots over a
Mm-hmm.
long period of time, which gives too much leeway for your opponents to like be like, all right, and a piece later, or to somebody else to come over and kind of like take away your kill. I've seen Anna win once on a free for all. She was really good and she was using her really well, but I will say that it requires a pretty good amount of skill to pull her off.
So I think we should probably talk about the elephant in the room, which is Widowmakers. Once you get into the diamond area and the upper echelon of, I guess you could say, when the plat players are picking it, she can be deadly, especially on Petra. There's a couple spots on the corner of the rock formation, right by the jump pad, that you can actually kind of like crouch behind, and you can shoot almost anywhere on the outside of the map where within those two vision spots. And then there's the area of the jump pad that you'll see, some of the lower tier players would love to use that for McCree. And the mid tier players use it for McCree for high noon jump pad kills. So I think we played one when we were waiting for some more people for deathmatch in the game night, and we had a Masters Widow main on our game, and she was just cleaning us out, and it was scary as heck. You could not walk outside of a door without going dead. So that was a sight to behold. But there are ways to counter it. Not anything that's easy, but Petra can have some pretty impressive spots for Widow if you're not really maintaining their position or making sure they're in check.
You know, funnily enough, I think I like Chateau better for Widow than Petra.
Interesting.
I don't know if it's maybe been that I just haven't had a good game of Widow on Petra or what it is. I honestly haven't seen her too much on the competitive free for all. Because
Huh.
here's the thing: if you are feeling good with your widow and you're hitting your shots, and it's one of those days where like a person peeks out and you get a headshot on them, like by all means, go widow. You'll probably win. But aside from that, I feel like widow can be a little struggle sometimes. If you're not hitting those shots or if you're not feeling good on her, just because you're kind of vulnerable, right? And there's just too many things that can go wrong. And if you're not hitting
Yeah.
those shots, one, you're advertising to the world where you are, because the second they see that widow shot everyone's gonna look at you, right? Um, or when they hear it, like everyone's gonna know where you are, and I don't know. It can be a little hard. I like her in Chateau just because you can kind of rotate a little more, and um there's less verticality where people can hide from you. There's like one low ground level, and that's it. While this one has like Petra has like three different inside levels that you can be roaming around, and if people are not hanging outside, you might feel a little lonely.
Yeah. I have seen some pretty interesting plays with May as well because of the penetrating version of her ice spray. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you see two people dueling, you kind of just like make their life a living hell, even if you don't win the duel. So maybe if you just want to tell people that you hate them, you can just pick May and just do it that way.
They can be very frustrating for sure. Same as Junkrat. Junkrat can be pretty good as well.
Right.
You can be very vulnerable to McCree's or guys like that can hit scan you, but you have a lot of burst damage. If you get up close to people, you can definitely burst them down. Your trap can be really annoying because sometimes people in the heat of the battle are not really looking at their feet, so you can get some easy traps on people. And of course, your rip tire is awesome. You can seek out people safely and sometimes kill like 2, 3 people that are just happen to be in a room.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Now,
want
the new map. You want to talk a little bit about that area that's really really cool outside that has the destructible zone?
Oh my
Because
god.
that was like a huge surprise to me when I first saw
Even
it.
get me started on that area. Like I thought it was gonna be like easy to tell when the floor was gonna break, but it's already happened several times that I just happened to land on the floor the second it's breaking, and there's not much you can do at that point unless you're like.
The Farah kills, man. That's the
So
only thing I think keeping Farah in that zone and Junkrat too is they just get these cheeky kills when they put you on that zone. You're like, I gotta get this health
oh my
back, and
god.
they're like, that's nice. You're just gonna fall in the pit. Sorry, pal.
I still don't completely understand how it works. I don't know if it's like you have to take a certain amount of damage from any ability or it has
I
to
don't
be
know, man.
certain abilities that break it. I know I've been able to break it with Doomfist, and it happened one time with a Genji dash, and I was super mad because there was like a McCree about to die on the floor, and I just like straight up dash him into the floor, and when I hit the floor with a dash, it broke and we both fell through.
Killed you both.
Yeah, I was like, what? This was not supposed to happen. I was supposed to kill the McCree and get the hell out of here.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
But
Well, guys, I
yeah,
think that's basically all I had on this. It's not it's not like it's a mainstay because it is one of those things that's gonna hit the arcade cycle, but it is, it is rank. It is something you can progress as a player. You can get some good 1v1 practice in, and you can get a lot of your how to get out of tight spots. But I have found that if I play this game mode for too long, not only will I get tilted, but um the I do make some bad habits as well because if you're playing sometimes you're playing heroes that you're really good at that aren't necessarily like made for that. For example, like if you're wanting to run the supports in this game mode or you want to run a McCree, you get this like flank style, which is a particular style of play that's not always good to be playing. So like if you translate this one to one of your game modes, you're not always going to be playing particularly well. And I've been losing to people and winning against people that are in like silver rank at the same deathmatch rank as me. And that's pretty obvious by how the styles of play that they play. They play super aggressive. They play super flank heavy. And if you translate that style into your rank games, you may just stay in the rank you're at instead of moving forward and progressing and understanding the hero a little bit better.
I will
But
say,
that being said, it's a good mechanical training ground, I would say.
yeah, yeah. This I was about to just say that this is your mechanics playground over here. This is a good mode
Yeah.
to one learn to really listen for other heroes. If you can sharpen your listening senses, you can really thrive in this game mode. If you're able to tell there's a McCree to the right, there's a McCree to the left, or there's a Roadhog right above me. There's a Junkrat that's going below. If you can get really good at just telling what's around you by sound, or even like what abilities heroes are using, this is very useful in this mode because you're trying to orient yourself. You have nobody else telling you where other people are. So
Mhm.
it's all about, what you see and what you hear. It's also a really great mode for your practice turning around. I know this sounds like really silly, but if you're looking at Overwatch League pros, they're able to turn into any direction at command. Um, and they can do it very fast. Just watch them turn 180 degrees, any of them. They're all incredibly good at it, and they can do it really fast. And this game mode is one of the modes where you have to be able to do this. You have to be able to corner check every room you walk into. You gotta be looking at like different angles at all times. It's not like
Crosshair
in,
placement is also good practice here.
yeah, very good practice in this one. It's not like in competitive mode where like you're approaching a site, and only once you get to like close to the point is where you kind of like start corner checking, and you kind of have an idea of where heroes are coming, and then you have your
Yeah,
team
sure.
that can also tell you where heroes are coming. In this one you have no idea, so getting really good at doing those 180 turns, or checking your corners, being very precise with where you look, and not only that, but in your 1v1s, this can sometimes be a super valuable skill, being able to keep track of your target at all times, especially with heroes like Genji or Doomfist. And in this mode, you get to practice this very constantly because you get killed and you get put right back into it. Sometimes you spawn like 10 meters away from another hero. So, like, the downtime between battles is almost very, very small. And then you get to practice those clutch 1v1s that they do matter in the ladder a little bit. Like when you are playing Anna in the ladder and your team moves forward and a Genji comes down to kill you, and at that time there's nobody to save you. Even if you say on comms your team is like too far forward, and then you remember your FFA practice, all the Genjis you've clutched and you've killed and you darted with your 180 turns that you've been practicing. This is when I think that practice comes into play in the ladder. If you're able to clutch those moments and win those 1v1s that maybe you had no business winning before, I think that it can make you climb. You know what I mean?
Sure. Let's finish up here with some Blue Post news and some impressions. Just a quick reminder that the Overwatch anniversary allows you to get the new things with this event as well as any previous item. So I saved up some currency for this current event, not knowing what we were going to get, and ended up spending it on a skin that I missed. So I got the Hanzo skin from the winter event that I missed. Now, not all of the skins are going to be the 1,000 currency. From what I can understand, anything you missed from Christmas until now, those are going to be at the 3,000 price tag for legendary. So the normal event price tag, and then anything prior should be about the normal 1,000 for one legendary, and accordingly the same for epics and rares and all that. All right, so moving forward, we wanted to talk a little bit about Rialto, which is the new payload map, because Scott Mercer made up a post and said that this is actually in the competitive playlist right now, as opposed to waiting for July 1st for the next season. He said, quote, "In the future, our plan will be to release new heroes and new maps available in competitive play 2 weeks after their initial release." So that is, I guess, the new thing. Rather than waiting the full, competitive cycle, they're just saying, look, we're gonna put it in there. It'll be in the game. It'll be for consoles and PC, and then 2 weeks later, boom, new hero, new map. So that's the setup, I guess, is what they're landing on according to the official word.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this. Compared to Heroes, which I like more of a slow release, slow drip, I'm okay with 3 heroes per year. Like that is more than enough for me. Maps, I love them. I love when there's more maps in the game. I like exploring new maps and getting to know them real fast. I'm the kind of person that when there's a new map, I'll go into the arcade and spam the same map for like an hour or two and just really dig into it and see what you can do. One, I like the change of scenery, and maps in Overwatch are cool. They're filled with lore and personality. I like different places in the world that they'll take you. So I get really excited for new maps. And not only that, if you're able to learn them fast, you give yourself an edge over some other players too.
And we're always happy to see new payload stuff. I just I know that there's a lot of hate for those of you that play 2CP, or we have a lot of Koth haters out there. So we'll see how it goes, but it's always
Re-
good to see.
I will say Rialto is really cool. It has a lot of
Yeah.
features in the map that I really enjoy. I like the Venice little streams with the boats that you can actually use to your advantage with certain heroes. Anyone with like mobility abilities can actually hide behind some of these and kind of cross the river
Yeah.
uncontested. I've done it with Hanzo before, where I just kind of jumped from one boat to the other. They didn't see me, and I kind of just came on the other side. They were like, "Whoa, where does Hanzo come from?"
I will say that during game night and during my competitive playlist, when I do get this map, that rarely does it go past the second point if you can get there. It's a very common map to kind of full hold on defense before you get to point two. And even on both sides, I've won games where it's been like 1-2, and you like just get them past the first point. It's just pretty interesting. Like it's
It
a
has
really
some
really
it
cool
has some
map
hard
and pretty
chokes.
tight.
Yeah, it has some hard chokes that
Yeah.
some people can really falter. I will say that I find most teams falling victim right after point two, right after you capture point two, and you have to get it up that ramp into
Mm.
the point three. I feel like that's been like the hardest choke to hold for a lot of teams, just because it's kind of like in an awkward upstairs ramp, and you have to
Right.
like the defensive team already has a natural high ground without them even trying to do anything. Plus the choke. So
I really like how the map is like generally decent for like setting up a bastion right out of the gate, but at the same time, like when you come out of spawn and like where the payload's at, then they're just like, we're just gonna give the defense like 3 different areas for high ground. They're gonna have a flank route right to the
the
front,
defense has a
and
lot.
if
Yeah.
you get onto the payload, you're gonna go straight onto a bridge where somebody can boop you off or yank you off with an Orisa.
Oh my
So
god, I've seen so many
no more
boobs.
pirate ships, ladies and gentlemen,
I've
for
seen
point one.
so many boobs in that map. It's unreal. And then to
It's
top it off, that
crazy.
first point is really hard to get it out of there, to be honest. If
Right.
you're, because you're crossing a very treacherous bridge with water on the sides. And like you said, there's high ground for the defense for days with a flank. And then you have to get the payload through the tiniest corridor I think any payload map has in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Mm-hmm.
tiny. Like a dragon is twice the size of that corridor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You can even hit that side room.
So definitely a very tight space. Fortunately, once you're able to get it through that little tiny corridor, you do go into this huge courtyard, which makes it a lot easier for your team to kind of
It
spread
does.
out. So once you get it past that little tiny place, it's a little easier. But definitely that's a place to defend when you're in Rialto, like right there at the high ground,
Yeah.
close them out real fast.
From what I've found, it's pretty fun to run just double barriers in a Moira and just try to just brute force it through. I've seen some of that with some roadhogs, like three tanks and a Moira, and just push and just hope you don't die. You just gotta get stuff off the cart and move it through, and hopefully the snipers can't kill your tanks too fast. So. But yeah, that's Rialto. Also, important to note that the new changes for the new patch is out. Not only is Rialto out, but the new Ana changes to her magazine are around, and the nerf to Brigitte's ultimate for having 100 max armor gain. I believe there's some more things that we mentioned in the previous show, but we won't belabor the point anymore because those were the two main ones. But I will say that the new Iana changes have been way different.
Very
And playing her
different.
in game night, I was definitely over reloading quite a bit, and didn't realize having 4 more in the chamber was
It's a lot.
that
Yeah.
beneficial. And
It
in
also
addition,
it also
the hit
throws me off.
registration.
Yeah, let's talk about that because it throws me off a little bit. It took me a second to get used to it.
I will say there's been a couple moments in game now when I was playing with gnomes, right? Like we mentioned him at the top of the show, where I had like a couple really tight corners that I was healing in. And it was like really nice because you're like, okay, I'm trying to shoot this guy, and then they're full. I'll just hit my tank. I'll be fine. I'll just aim at the guy, shoot my tank. Great. So I made that mental check. But then like when there's like 2 or 3 people and like some of them are enemies and the enemies are like behind my guys on my team and girls and I'm just like trying to shoot what I'm looking for, I still find my subconscious like maneuvering around my team
Yeah.
to like shoot around them and I'm like these guys are full. I don't have to move. So it's like it's really weird because you have like
It's
these
weird.
for playing Anna so much that I've played her, I still find myself moving in places that I don't need to go and overexposing myself behind this like open air or outside of cover into an open area when I should be taking advantage of this. And then also the pre-firing thing is actually just it wasn't as big of a deal, but it is still weird to like not shoot a tank and like kind of heal them a little bit as they're taking damage. If they're full, it just doesn't hit them. Still had that kind of weird, but then you really feel nice and dandy when there's that Mercy that's on the other side or the other enemy Ana that's like trying to shoot somebody and your tank's full and you see the critical bar and you're like, I know where you are. And you shoot straight through your tank and kill somebody. It's just like, oh, it's so nice. You're like, I don't have to worry
Yeah,
about this anymore.
it definitely takes some time to get used to, or it's definitely gonna take some time to get used to it because
Right.
it happened the same way for me. Like I wasn't used to it, so I started playing her. I was finding myself trying to shoot around my tanks as well, and then
Yeah.
with Anna, I do this thing normally where if we're going into the battle, I try to stay right behind my main tank, and as we're walking in, I'm just like shooting bullets at him, like it sometimes he might not even be damaged, but I know that people are targeting him and the damage is coming, so like I'm just
Yeah.
pre-firing at him to keep a steady stream of healing, but you can't really do that anymore, at least not until they get damaged, you know what I mean? So that
Right.
part
They
was
have
throwing
to
me
have
off.
at least some kind of health
Yeah, at first
down.
I thought that I was like lagging hardcore and my hits were not registering. I was like, why are my hits like not like is this game bugged or something? And then it like hit me. I was like, "Oh, the change. They go through now." And it's weird cuz like your aim assist disappears too. So if you try to
Yeah, it
like
does.
pre-fire at them, you have to actually like aim perfectly at them. You don't have like
Mm-hmm.
that leniency anymore. So I don't know. It's gonna take me some time to get used to it. I don't play a lot of Ana, but I don't know. I'd love to hear from some other Ana players and to what they think about this change. You know what other
Can't
thing would
pre-fire
be?
the Genjis that you're nanoing anymore, which is kind of annoying to be honest, because they get
Yeah,
shot as soon as they dash in the air, like every time.
there's a lot of new things, but I was gonna say there's another change that I think would be a quality of life change for everyone, but would really benefit changes like this one the most, which is I would love if you were close to your tanks or something, that they would become just a little bit transparent. Does that make sense? Like if you were
Oh, like
stacked.
getting body blocked by your own team, you could still see through them a little bit.
Yeah. Like I've always wanted this with McCree, for example, when I'm standing behind my Rhine or with Widowmaker, because there's moments where if you're dueling a Widowmaker, you're just safer standing behind your Rhine shield and dueling her from there, so you have the upper hand. But the trade-off is the huge reduction in visibility that you have, right? Like if you just have the shield in front of you is okay, but sometimes Ryan moves and then his huge shoulder is like on your
Mm.
peripheral vision. And sometimes you can make like an estimated guess, of where the enemy is behind
Mm-hmm.
your tank,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get the shot off. But it just adds difficulty to it, and it would be awesome if with Anna you could have a quality of life change like that. Like if you're behind your tanks, they would just become a little bit translucent, so you could see what's in front of them. You know what I'm saying?
So I'll take the opposing view just for the sake of fun here. But like for me, I do like the fantasy of not having it there. Just because like if I'm healing, I have the critical meters, right? So I can see them, and now that I can shoot through people, I don't even have to aim at my heals at all. I can just look for the health bars that are floating around on my screen for allies. And if they are critical, I can just aim at the critical thing. I don't have to worry about hitting my teammates anymore. So that part of it I like. The second thing, when you're talking about Widowmaker or Honor or anything else, shooting through allies being a thing and not having friendly fire is great. But I do like the added kind of difficulty
Difficulty,
of
yeah,
not seeing through them in some ways.
and that's
Because,
fair.
like, I mean, it it makes you feel a little bit more awesome about those shots hitting, you know?
Yeah, it does make you feel good when you hit him, but I don't know. I think it's kind of like the Mora ult, when it got changed and now it's like a little bit more transparent. So even if you're in it, you can actually see
Not the
what's
blinding
around you.
beam.
Yeah, it's not like just
Yeah.
yellow and purple on your screen. It's like you can see through it, but you can still tell you're on the
Frankly, it's
coalescence.
still too bright in my opinion, but that's for a different day.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm dreaming too much over here because the chat is telling
Yeah,
me
I don't
that they
know.
don't like it either.
It'd be too strong. The widows are too strong, Andres. We can't have them in our game anymore. All right, let's talk about the last little bit of news here. This is the little update that we didn't talk about last week for Symmetra's rework. So as mentioned, Symmetra's getting quite a bit of a large change that's still in the internal testing stages and play testing. No visuals yet, according to the post on May 17th. Link in the show notes if you guys are looking for this. The turrets are actually something that you can almost like throw or pre-place somewhere. And when you're throwing them or setting them up, they are still shooting projectiles, which means that the turrets aren't just like a beam. They're actually shooting projectiles now, like they were before. But now they're allowing the turrets to be destroyed while they're being thrown. So there's a
Interesting.
little bit more counterplay to them beyond the initial just setting up and pre-placing,
This is
so
an
that
interesting
you
change.
force the Symmetras to be a little bit more sneaky with them because they're doing more damage and you have less of them.
Well, but now you can throw them, which means they do
Mm-hmm.
damage midair. This means that you can probably use them in the middle of the fight, which was one of the hardest things to do with Symmetra, right? Like your turrets became
Mm-hmm.
kind of useless once the fight broke off. Like you would rather be just beaming people down with your right
Right.
click than slowly placing a little turret that's gonna get destroyed in like zero point 0.5 seconds after you place it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so this is interesting, making them a little less static. Although, are they still going? They're still going to grapple to the walls, right, and stay there.
I think that's correct. They can just be tossed. And so while they're
Okay.
mid toss, they can still fire and they can still do their own thing
Well, and that
before they
is huge.
land.
That is huge too. That means that you can place your turrets on places that you're not adjacent to.
Currently at.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing that I thought was most interesting, and we actually talked about this in some of our lobbies during game night, was a teleporter requiring a button input to trigger. So basically, it makes it so that if you're going to take the teleporter, you can't just walk into it anymore. You actually have to click something or hit a button to activate the use of it. And it will allow you to use a teleporter for bi-directional with a cooldown. So if you have a teleporter location and then a setup in the secondary location, it's not just simply going to go from spawn to anywhere, although that's an option, I think. You can just teleport by clicking the button and going to the next one, wherever the next one is, whether it be the first one that you see, the second one you see. And then I guess they're saying that it can be really fun to set up some nutty plays by setting this up in an enemy Zarya ult where everyone's stuck, and then you drop the teleport and everybody clicks it and they're out. So that could be pretty crazy. And then the other one, they said there's some crazy strats beyond having like an Ana and a Zen with their Symmetra. And then when the dive happens, you drop the teleporter, both of you peace out
This
to
is
somewhere
this
safe.
is
That was pretty
this
cool.
can do some crazy strategies, dude, because you can place it in one place where you maybe want to start your initial like defense or something, and then place the other
Mm-hmm.
place where you want your second defense to be, and then just fight the hard choke. If you think the fight's going south, teleport, and then you're in the back line of the point. Your healers have some time to like take care of you, and now you're again in the best position to fight.
With
Even
a lot of
like
cool counterplay too. You can like set up somebody on your team just like sitting on there, like
yeah,
waiting for people to teleport through it.
or even allowing heroes that are not necessarily known for flanking to flank. Like have your Reinhardt come from like a very unexpected place, or even your dive heroes come from a very unexpected place. I mean, Symmetra's still gonna be rather immobile hero. Like you'll still have to walk places to place your teleporter. So I still think that she's gonna be relegated to defense more than attack. But I can definitely see some very creative uses for this kind of teleporter.
Yeah, for sure. I can also see her on offense as well, like with some maybe not necessarily on payload, but like or sorry, not necessarily 2CP, but I could see her having some really interesting plays for payload maps in particular to be
Mm-hmm.
real creative.
And they're moving her
The
out
other
of the
thing,
support category as well, right?
yes, they're putting it into the defense tree, which is going to be a good addition, I think. But don't forget her new teleporter is a standard ability, not like
Mm-hmm.
an ultimate. Her ultimate is going to be a shield generator that puts like a projected barrier from that's like infinite in like two directions, and it's just like a wall, like a giant Reinhardt wall. So I'm really interested in this, and I want to bring up what somebody had said. I can't remember again. Sorry to not be able to credit you, but in our Discord game night, they were mentioning how they really want the ability to have an intuitive, somewhat interface for setting up the teleporters, both the first one and the second one, so that you have a direction by which people exit them.
Oh, cool.
Because if you want people to exit in a specific way and the exit is pointed towards you, you kind of have to like jankily like move somewhere and like set it up and you're like, okay, so they're
So they
always
want
gonna
to be
have
able
the
to
arrow
use it
pointing towards
rotated
me.
or something?
Yeah, or maybe you have some sort of rotationary thing, but I think to me it makes the most sense by just saying, look, exit is like where I'm pointing my gun, where the teleporter is gonna go. It's just gonna go in that direction. I feel like that is the most intuitive thing, but I've been wrong before. Just that's how it makes sense in my head. And if they can rotate it, by all means, that'd be cool. But personally, I think if you're gonna be able to rotate it, it should be like a really simple key press, especially since we have console players out there,
Yeah, maybe
and we don't want it
mouse
to be
wheel or
too
something.
complex for their key binds. And I think that it should switch between facing forward or facing backwards. I feel like turning it on a four thing axis might even be
Might
too
be
much
weird. Yeah.
because you have to like hit it on accident and you have to hit it like 3 more times just to go back to where you were. It seems a little too much for me. But Andres, why don't we get through our iTunes reviews and close out the show?
Sounds good. Today we have two reviews, one from Benny Ginny from Sweden and one from G Kitty from the USA. Thank you so much, guys. G Kitty says, I'm loving this podcast. I've just started playing with people who are a bit more informed on strategy, and I was looking to learn more on my own so I could pull more of my own weight in matches. This podcast is helping me learn so quick. I'm starting to feel comfortable enough to get into competitive play, and this podcast is helping me boost my confidence in myself. Need more female player guests, though. Hey, we are totally down. Send them our way. We've reached out to a couple of
Please.
them. Sometimes they are not super comfortable appearing in public and being a public figure like that. But we're definitely open to the idea. If you know of anyone who would be interesting and would be a good fit, make sure to let us know. Or if you know them, and let them know that we are looking for them.
I've looked up two very big female streamers and well-known commodities in the YouTube space, and both have declined. So it happens. Sometimes what you want doesn't always happen, and not everyone's cut out for the podcast thing. Not just like that they're not good at it, just that they don't want to do it. So
Yeah,
it
so
happens.
people just don't want to be on the mic.
Yeah. If you guys want to find us, please look us up on Twitter and on Facebook. You can find us with the tag Omnic Lab. Our website is omniclab.com. If you want to look at anything you're looking for, we've got merch. So we've got coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever you want, you can find those. It's just a little supplementary income. We're also on Twitch at twitch.tv/omniclab. Our schedule this week was a little messed up. We're not sure what's going to happen next week because it is the inter-high qualification tournament for my volleyball team, so I will probably be out next week. But that being said, we do have a Going Deep Zarya that we are trying to schedule, and if you want to submit questions early, you may do that in the Discord podcast questions channel. We've got a really great guy that we've set up and we've scheduled. We want to make sure we lock down specific times, but I do have a date on that, and we will give that to you next week. Pay attention to the Discord and on Twitter. We'll announce that. You can also help us out on Twitch and on Patreon. We are Twitch affiliates, so we'll be taking those sweet income from that to help boost our equipment and the setup for BlizzCon. And if you want to support us on Patreon, that is helping me get there particularly, and Andres as well. You can help us there if you want to join the Discord community. We're still popping. lots of people talking about the Destiny update. So there's some people doing that, including myself. There's also some people playing Hearthstone and other things. And also, like a lot of us like to say, we don't play video games. We just talk about them. And that's referencing a few specific people out there. And I'm not saying it the same way they do just because that's the charm. But you guys can go find that out on our Discord, discord.me/OmnicLab. Andres, where can people find you?
If you want to personally find me, you can look me up on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. And I'm really trying to pay a little more attention to my personal Twitch. So if you want to find me there, you can find me over on twitch.tv/iPlayGamesTV.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram with the tag not Rob. You can find me on my podcast at Velen's Chosen Podcast. Velen's Chosen Podcast is our Twitch feed, and velenschosen.com is the website. We talk about Hearthstone. This week we actually had to take off between me and my other co-host being sick and scheduling nightmares. This last weekend just was not happening, but we did put out a brand new lore episode on Illidan Stormrage's history if you're interested on that. That's going to do it for episode 105 about figuring out what is Deathmatch this week. And remember, guys, don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. We'll see you next week.
I didn't have the outro queued.
There we go. Bye, guys.
Bye.
If you're on YouTube, leave us a like. Let us know you're not a bot. See you guys. Thanks for coming into the chat.
I have nothing more to teach you. The rest you must learn for yourself.
Later, guys. Thanks, Snake, for stopping by. Appreciate the company. Stop fragging out. Fragging! Is your boy Yum?
Kinder.
Yeah, he's Kinder. Yeah, you're
What's up,
late,
buddy?
you're late, my dude. You
You
walked
are
in
very
right
late.
at the end.
It's all
We'll
good.
catch up later, my dude.
Later.
Bye.